America was built on manufacturing. Through the strength of our communities, we became the most powerful country in the world. These men and women set the foundation for our future. While this reality has been dwindling from our view, the world of manufacturing has never included more diverse and fulfilling opportunities. With the events of 2020, a local manufacturing revolution has begun. The jobs are coming back, and they're better than ever. There is no better time than now to join the revolution. Veryable is an on-demand labor marketplace for manufacturing and warehousing. Using this tool, you can test the waters of a career in manufacturing, as well as put your grit to the test and gain new skills you never thought possible. Today, you'll hear from business leaders, managers, and operators about how and why you should get started with a career in manufacturing. Let's jump in and hear from the great people at Mac Tool and Engineering to learn about how the products they make are out of this world.
So Mac Tool and Engineering is a precision machine shop. So we make parts for the aerospace and medical industries. So the things that we make are going into airplanes or people's bodies, right? Spaceships, satellites, stuff like that. It's really very cool. Some of the stuff that we're working on, we don't even know what it's going to do after it gets out of here. We do government work, so for fighter jets and things like that. A lot of the stuff we do, we have to sign NDAs. You have to be an American citizen just to get on Mac Tool's shop floor, right? Because the stuff that we do can sometimes be super secret, right? Which is very cool in itself, just to be like, look at these things. The stuff that we do can get really complex. So Mac Tool is one of the few machine shops that holds the tolerances that we do, that uses the complex prints that we do. The stuff we do keeps people alive, whether it's the part of the airplane that's getting the fuel where it needs to go, or it's the right tools to open up somebody's heart and put it back together, right? It's important that we do our job as precise as it's meant to be, because lives can be on the line, which is also very cool, right?
The passion is the challenge. You're constantly challenged every day. You're not doing the same thing every day. Even when you're working in production, it's not the same thing. You're constantly learning. It might start out as a block of steel or a block of aluminum, but it's so much more than that. That block of steel or block of aluminum can only cost a couple $100. But after the manufacturing and all the operations and processes that are involved in it, you're literally taking that and you're creating something amazing. Something that's going to be able to help that airplane fly, or help that spaceship get up, past the clouds. Or when it comes to medical devices, help somebody walk better. It's very important. There's got to be a lot of passion in this industry, because if you don't have the passion, then you don't have the mindset to understand what it really takes to do it. But it's very rewarding too. We've worked on projects that go up into space. We work on projects on a daily basis that go into fighter jets and go into commercial and private airplanes. And is into surgery equipment when it comes to the medical field.
Manufacturing is a huge part of people's lives, and it's a part that we really don't see a lot. We see the airplane and it's cool, but we don't see all the stuff that goes into it, right? And somebody might get a hip replacement, or a new femur, right? And we're like, oh great, they can walk again. But the people behind the scenes that engineered that made it manufacturable, they're really not talked about or seen much or really thought about, right? But it is here at places like Mac where they do all that little work that makes all of those things possible.
It is kind of nice to know that these things are going in somebody's body, or it's going into a jet. And so I do try to pay, my first day I was really nervous here, because when they told me, hey, this is going in somebody's body, or this is going in a fighter jet, I'm like, oh, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but learning things to look out for, I guess kind of makes it pretty cool, because Joel has showed me a bunch of little things that I would have never even caught, so it is, I guess I do take pride.
That's actually one of the cooler parts of working here is just a couple months ago I had my hands on a part, and I know in a couple months from now it's going to be in outer space, so that's pretty cool. And also some of the medical parts we do. I know my grandma just got a fake hip, and I actually know exactly what it looks like because I've made one here. So just kind of knowing stuff like that's really neat, and a lot of people don't get to see that.
If you look at some of the machines now, I mean, you can run an 18-hour cycle and get a complete part at the end of the day. 20 years ago, that would take weeks to do that one part on 12 different machines. So the progression of technology is insane. It's awesome. And when it comes to computer programming, the software for CAD/CAM is unbelievable now. It's a lot easier to learn. It's very interesting how much it's progressed over the years. I mean, it's only been 15 years, 16 years since I've been doing it, and it's already leaps and bounds. It'll continue to do more.
Manufacturing used to be a lot more intensive, hands-on, dirty, dangerous work, right? And that's where we got that misconception of what it is today, because that's what it was, right? Now, with today's technology, the programs that our engineers use with their 3D modeling, all the way to being able to program these machines to manufacture 26 parts at once, right? We can put all 26 in there with the same programs and make these really cool, complex parts that just weren't possible before. We didn't have the tooling, we didn't have the time, or if it was possible, it's gonna take you a month to do a part, right? Because there's just so many characteristics and so much criteria that you have to meet that wasn't possible in the past. Technology itself has advanced manufacturing in ways that I don't think we really thought we could, 50, 60, 70 years ago. There's a lot of misconceptions out there about a whole lot of things, and manufacturing is one of them. If you're even thinking about it, go and try it. See the different types of manufacturing, because there really is so many different types. What we do here with precision machining is not the same as tool making. So go and try the different things. See what you like, what interests you, what puts that fire in you, and watch products go from pieces of metal to these amazing looking things and that do amazing stuff, and see what really puts a fire in you, makes you want to be there, and do what makes you want to be there. Yes, manufacturing can be boring if that's not what you love. If you don't like making tools, you're not gonna like making tools no matter where you are. But if you like airplanes, you might like making the manifolds that go in them, right? Or if you just like making stuff and being creative, this might be the job for you. The only thing you can do is try. It never hurts to try, and shop around. Look at the different types. See what you really like. You'll find something in manufacturing.
Just going there with a can-do mindset. Like I said, my first day, I wasn't nervous coming here, but when I found out what they did, I was like, oh wow, okay, wasn't expecting this. But just be open-minded and be willing to learn and be teachable. Don't be that guy that, oh, I already know what I'm doing, because like I said, I come in here and I learn different things every day. So
I didn't know if I could do it or not, but then they're like, oh yeah, you got it. I'm like, no problem. So then I just started, they showed me one time and I do it one time. They're like, yeah, just like that. And I was like, for real? They're like, yeah. And then ever since, I just been getting better. I never really did machine work like that. I usually just take the tools out, but then they're showing me how to set up the machines, how there are many different parts in this one machine, so I'm learning a lot. But, yeah.
Veryable is a great way to try the different types of manufacturing, because Veryable is not limited, right? It's all different kinds of manufacturing. And you could come to a Mac and be like, you know what, that's super complicated or boring or just not my thing, and leave. And then end up going to, half a dozen other manufacturers until you find something that clicks. It gives you the freedom to find the thing that you really like, right? Doing full-time employment, once you're in a job, it can be a difficult process just to get there in the first place, right? And you don't want to put in all that work and be like, hey, this isn't for me, right? And then you have to go through that process all over again at another place, not knowing if that's for you, right? With something like Veryable, you're able to bid on 3 different places in a week and go and be like, hey, you know what? I want to try this place a little bit more. I like MacTool. They seem pretty cool. Let me stay here for a little bit and see if it's for me. It gives you that freedom and the flexibility to really try the different areas and find that out for yourself.
I guess you'd say the world's changing when it comes to who wants to work and who doesn't want to work anymore. You know, so Veryable kind of gives people that are willing to work and wanting to work, it gives them the freedom to do that, which is, I kind of feel like the world's kind of going that way anyway. You know, people want to work on their terms. You know, not everybody can just go and work a 9-to-5 job. So when it comes to Veryable, it works out very well for people that have kids, people that have ride issues. You know, that's always a big one. Kids is always a big one, and it's completely understandable. It helps us in the sense that if we can build a decent enough pool, you know, I don't have to, you know, I can put that op out there and say, hey, I really need like 4 or 5 people, but I can take from a pool of like 20 people that I think are in a really good spot that could help us in what we need for the day. So if so-and-so can't make it, well, I can still pull 2 or 3 other people. So that helps out huge when it comes to where we've been at. You know, the downturn of the economy and how it's just kind of going bananas right now. The way that it worked for MacTool was we lost quite a few people just from going to other places. So for Veryable to be there and get us people that wanted to work as soon as they could, that helped us out tremendously. Now we were able to start building that pool pretty quickly. It was tough at first, but now that we've started to build a pretty good pool of you know, good hardworking people that want to show up and just do work, it's worked out very well. That's what Veryable kind of does for us. It kind of just says, hey, if you want to work, go to this website and you know, you can find a job tomorrow. You can work tomorrow if you want to. It automatically takes out all that other business out of it.
I can pick my hours and it works around my schedule because I have children, have young children that goes to school. So then I come here at 8 o'clock, you know, I'm able to bring my kids to school at 7:30, make here by 8 o'clock. I get off at 4:30 and, you know, my kids go to daycare, so I make it off in time to pick them up from daycare. I like that I don't have to work every day, so like if my kids need a doctor's appointment, I don't have to bid on that day, and I'll just have that day to myself. That's what I like about it.
If you're willing to work and take pride in what you do, manufacturing is an awesome place to start. You can be involved in some amazing things, for sure. Veryable's worked out very well for us because I can bring somebody in that has no idea what they're doing when it comes to hand tools or measuring equipment, spend 2 or 3 days with them, and as long as they have a good head on their shoulders and they pay attention very well. But if you're doing that within a week or so, I mean, you're gonna be in a decent spot to always be able to, you know, approach that op on a daily basis or whatever your work schedule is from other things going on in your life. But I've got about 4 or 5 people right now in our pool that I would take every day of the week just because they show up on time and they come in, they're ready to work. And anything that they've been trained to do so far, they're very efficient at it and they're learning it very quickly. So that's awesome. I appreciate Veryable for that, definitely.
Now let's hop over to Ivy Tech Community College to hear about the amazing opportunities they're offering to their students and their partnership with Veryable.
Ivy Tech is actually our country's largest singly accredited community college. We have 19 campuses across the entire state. So Ivy Tech South Bend Elkhart serves 3 counties, St. Joe, Marshall, and Elkhart County. And we serve roughly 6,000 students and adults across all 3 counties. And certainly a good chunk of that is supporting students with training in advanced manufacturing, automation, and robotics. So for me, in the role that I have here, I think a partnership is really about working with external partners to provide opportunities for our students and to do things that are in the best interest of our community. And so working with Veryable is, in my mind, a no-brainer for a couple of reasons. First, you know, I think one of the things that we see with our students, particularly in manufacturing, is that there are barriers to employment. So we have students who are interested in scaling up, are here to advance their career, to take the next step, but they're also responsible for their family, and so they have to work, and they're not able to leave a job and to take an opportunity that might risk them losing insurance or taking a pay cut while they're in school. And so I think the flexibility that Veryable provides to the worker is something that is hugely important and attractive to our students as they look for opportunities to gain experience, real-world experience, at a time and a place that's convenient for them. So that is novel, and I'm excited about that for our students. And then the second part of our partnership that is emerging and one that I'm excited about is the opportunity to offer training through the Veryable platform. So, I think it means something in our community to be an Ivy Tech student. I think our employers recognize that our students have skills, both technical skills and employability skills that they're looking for. And so working with Veryable, we've been able to create an Ivy Tech badge that will identify our operators in the Veryable platform, so that our employers then can be intentional about pursuing and hiring those individuals for opportunities within their companies. And I think our employers are excited about that, certainly. And then beyond that, the opportunity to offer training like a certified production technician to operators across the state through the platform is, again, I think something that supports our mission as a college to skill up our workforce, not just in South Bend, Elkhart, but across our state. I think one of the exciting opportunities that our students have is to experience a number of different manufacturing facilities through the Veryable platform. And I think for our employers, it's an opportunity to connect with our students in a way that they hadn't previously been able to connect. And it's focused on skills. And so we know that our students are being identified through the Ivy Tech badge. We know that's something that our employers value. And we know that we're delivering on the type of training that our employers need. And so when we make those connections for our students, we're benefiting our students. We're certainly benefiting our employers. And I think our community is stronger in the end because of the platform that we have here. So it's a great partnership, and it's an exciting opportunity for Ivy Tech, and I'm excited to see the future of Veryable and our partnership.
Next, let's take a look inside the world of Metal Source to learn more about the world of metal recycling.
Metal Source is kind of a multi-level recycling company. We've diversified greatly over the years, starting out in secondary aluminum, expanding into primaries. We've also got the scrap yards, just feeding into the larger picture that is the recycling industry. Well, recycling is massive to anything and everything that is happening in manufacturing. I mean, just take a look around the room and everything that you see in it. Something's metal. It's multiple different grades, and recycling, whether it be ferrous or non-ferrous, saves upwards of 80% of the energy of trying to draw it directly out of the ground. So in addition to our company being able to bring in that metal that might just be going to a landfill, people can bring it to our facilities. We can pay them to bring it in, and we have the opportunity to reinsert that into a new life cycle. So the aluminum can that somebody brings into our buy room today and gets paid for, in the next 30 days could wind up in an engine block in the next car that you're buying.
It's mind-blowing. I've taken many drives and I see products that we produce. I mean, we didn't actually make them, but we had a part in them becoming what they are. And going home, dirty, sweaty, I mean, there's a lot of pride in that.
From a personal standpoint, I've always loved building. My initial foray into manufacturing was actually in the construction trades. I was a journeyman carpenter for years, built hospitals, built music studios, a ton of things. It was nice to step back and to see those things take shape, to know that I was doing some good for the world, whether it was providing shelter or providing a hospital where somebody can get treatment. From the recycling side, again, all that just feeds into all that. If you're going to build a $1 billion hospital, that's going to take 5,000 tons of steel, and 90% of the steel that's going to go into that is being recycled. So, I mean, our economy and manufacturing, all that stuff is just completely tied together.
That this is an ongoing career. It doesn't peak. You can take it as far as you want to take it, and that's kind of the horse that I jumped on. I noticed there was a lot of opportunities, so I wanted to seize on those and see where it took me in life.
Little flashback. So I graduated from Peru High School in 2016. I had the opportunity to go to the MLB out of high school. I turned it down because I decided maybe college was the way to go. Stayed there for 3 years, got drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies in 2019, played with them for 2 to 3 years, got released, and then played with the White Sox for a few months before ultimately decided that it probably wasn't for me. My dad, he's always been in the manufacturing. He worked at Ford Meter Boxes over in Wabash, and whenever I got back from Arizona, I heard that Metal Source was hiring. They were paying pretty well for what they were doing, so I said, sure, why not, need a job. And then just a lot of the guys that I met when I first started kind of, helped me form. I was like, oh, maybe this isn't too bad after all, or the stories weren't really that bad, what Dad was telling me. It's really not that bad, I promise.
My father-in-law had done this for 25 years, and I always thought of it as just something out there that he was specialized in and maybe he even went to school for, but the fact is he didn't. He did not have a college degree like we all see it. He had a 2-year degree and took some leadership classes and kind of fell into this industry. And yeah, I mean, it's not all dirty blue-collar foundry work like you think of manufacturing. I mean, there are so many roles to go into. I never thought, I came from pharmaceutical sales, I never thought I would be dealing with metals on a daily basis. Our world, it changes every day. Along with the economy, our business changes every day. There's so many avenues to do in this field. It's been lucrative for myself and many others in this industry, and every day we come to work is a new challenge, and it's very exciting.
When I was first coming in, I was a little worried maybe I didn't have the leadership abilities. I wouldn't be able to translate it from baseball coming into a manufacturing job in the real world, I like to call it. But I've learned that the things I developed from college, just learning from coaches, players, people around me, a lot of mentors, it kind of helped ease myself into this. Be like, oh, this is, I can relate to, this is kind of the same to this, what I dealt with in the past type of stuff.
Every day is a new challenge, and that's what I thrive off of. I have to have something new, something that gives me those life challenges outside my day-to-day. And during those, you really find yourself, and I love everything about that. It helps people put food on the table, a roof over their head, and to me, you can't find anything better than that.
I guess my biggest advice would be to don't close the door to it. It was never a career field that I saw myself in right after college, but I was 5 years behind. I should have done this a long time ago. All the people here in this industry have been phenomenal. It's a great family atmosphere. It's helped me grow as a person, and it's definitely helped my career in this industry with a bunch of people who are just willing to teach if you're receptive to learning.
The biggest thing is just jump in feet first, get in there and get wet. Experience is something that you gather over time. There's a ton of manufacturing out there. A lot of manufacturing is coming back to the United States that we've lost. And it's really the ingenuity, of the workforce coming back in that's really going to continue to grow that industry and provide tons of opportunity going forward.
Now, let's learn from Grow Wabash County about the amazing impacts these businesses can have on their local communities.
So Grow Wabash County is a combined chamber and economic development organization. We were formed in 2017, and we are tasked with doing some of the traditional chamber duties as well as traditional economic development. So manufacturing is absolutely one of the most critical functions in our community. It is the biggest sector of our local economy. They are the biggest private sector, wage-paying sector of our economy as well. And so it's absolutely critical. Indiana is a manufacturing state where it's very manufacturing intensive, and we're one of the more manufacturing intensive counties in all of the United States. We do that because we make things that the world wants, and we're the best at doing it. So we're very excited about the partnership with Veryable, right? We see a lot of opportunity. So we know that every manufacturer, every employer, whether it's fast food to a manufacturer to even an organization like ours, where you're providing professional services, workforce is a challenge right now, right? And so we really see the opportunity, obviously, with Veryable for our manufacturing workforce to say, let's rethink how we are hiring people and see if we can't meet the workforce of today where they're at, right? And so what we see the opportunity is, hey, this is an opportunity for young people who may not want to go in and have a full-time manufacturing career. Maybe they just want to test the waters and see what's out there. Maybe they just want to do that gig economy sort of thing where they can come in and say, I'm a full-time student, I'm going to college, I'm working on something, I can't afford to be there 4 days a week or 5 days a week for 8 hours a day, but if I can go work a shift, I think that's great, right? You're trying to meet that workforce where they're at. The way the gig economy works at this point, and particularly with the younger workforce, this is an attempt to try to meet people where they're at. I think young people should be interested in manufacturing because this is the best opportunity for many people to provide a high quality of life for themselves. Manufacturing is a high wage payer in Wabash County, and so we think youth have the best opportunity to go and get a certification, whether it's in CNC machining or welding or logistics and CDL, to be able to provide that high quality of life that they want. We did a CDL program with some of our manufacturers and some of our high school students. They all had job offers at the end that were paying them $65,000 a year. I can tell you, I know what age I was when I made $65,000, and it was not age 18. So it has the best opportunity to be able to provide that high quality of life. And the idea of what manufacturing and what a young person might think manufacturing was because of what their grandpa told them of working in an automotive plant or something like that, and what it is today in Wabash County are completely different things, right? Young people, I think, should get involved into that because some people are meant to go to college. Some people should go to college and get that degree, whether it's an engineering degree or whatever, or a liberal arts degree, which is what my background is, right? But there's also some people that have that best opportunity to provide that quality of life by getting a certification and going to work for one of our many great employers here. I think one of the most important parts of being able to work in a manufacturer is you can have pride in the product that you've made, right? You go into literally any convenience store in the Western world and you see a bottle of 5 Hour Energy, you can know that came through one of the 3 facilities that Living Essentials has in Wabash, because every single bottle of it comes through that community, right? You go to work at Precision Medical or something like that, and your grandma has to go and get a new knee replaced or a hip or something like that, that there's a good chance you had a role in that, right? You've made that possible for her to have a better quality of life. I think, to me, there's a sense of pride that comes with that you had a role in making things better for somebody. I think it is long overdue for manufacturers to be recognized for the critical impact that they have into the community. And as I mentioned earlier, right, manufacturing in Indiana is such a critical part of our economy, and it's such a critical part of Wabash County's economy that they should be celebrated. We make things better than what anybody else does. I mean, obviously in Wabash County, we make them better than the rest of Indiana as well, though.
Next, let's learn from Intertech Products about the amazing things they're doing for their employees and operators and how they're engaging with the next generation of the workforce.
So Intertech is a manufacturing company kind of in a small town of North Manchester, Indiana. We do about 60% in industrial packaging and 40% in the automotive industry. specifically with air caps and kind of a bin insulator part for the Dodge truck.
It goes into a lot more things than what people actually realize. Like, for instance, we go from raw material to coat and poly onto the paper that would go into Morton salt tubes. So whenever I go to Walmart, I see a Morton salt tube, I'm like, oh hey, you know, that's a small thing, but I probably touched that paper. Our customers, like Morton Salt, are very particular about what we do. So for them to actually be able to display that on a store shelf, feels good, it's nice. It means that we did our job and it goes out to pretty much every household in America. There's a lot of different things that we do that you can just look around and be like, pretty sure I made the raw material for that product, or I'm pretty sure I made the spun for that product. It's just something that would be considered prideful for me, at least.
Pride, that's a unique thing in this day and age, is it not? Since we work in automotive, you know that whatever product you're making is going to go into a vehicle. Everyone drives, everyone has a car, just about everyone anyway. So to think that something you're doing is affecting someone's life, it really truly is.
Manufacturing is extremely important. We're kind of in that manufacturing sector in the Midwest. So for us to be able to get that, the products out, not just to our customers, but people around the world use products every day. So without manufacturing, people don't get the things that they need. So you have to have the manufacturing, and keeping those businesses running and growing is vital to our economy.
Like with our engineers, they tinker and everything else to where our machines can run faster than what they've ever had. And we need people like that. We need people that want to try and better the community. We want people that want to try and better the production line, help us grow and help the manufacturing process, get people out of here more, get more people in here that want to be in here, stuff like that. There's just a lot of stuff that people can learn while they're in here. And it can be anything as simple as learning a tape measure to getting down and dirty and learning how to coat poly in the right way. There's a lot that they can learn and a lot to be interested in.
This is a small town. To have any kind of factory in this area, I would assume, is a boost to the economy, and not just the economy, but to the people. Because when you have a good day's work under your belt, you go home feeling not only tired, but happy that you're going to have that paycheck at the end of the week. So for a small community, I think this is a great thing.
My dad works in a foundry, and it's still manufacturing, but he works in sand cast molds. It's black sand, it's dusty, it's sooty, everything else. I work in an industrial paper lamination plant. It's not dusty, it's not dirty. I come home looking exactly the same way as I came in, maybe a little bit sweatier, but besides that, it's 8-hour work days, 5 to 6 days a week. You can get overtime, vacation, things like that. They don't, mandate overtime unless it's absolutely necessary. Where back in the old days, it was you have to work, as long as we need you here and we're not going to get coverage. Now it's a regular job. You have a social life, you have a family life, you have a work-life balance that I feel is maintainable. A lot of people would say the same thing around here.
I would say Intertech Products is a very safe, a very clean company. We're out-of-the-box thinkers and very intuitive and flexible when it comes to the younger generation, with working around school schedules, work schedules, personal schedules, just trying to be adaptive and to work with our associates going forward so that they can both make money and build a career for the future.
My grandfather and my father both retired from Chrysler. I have seen a lot of changes with not only the process, but the hours. I can remember my grandfather working really hard and putting in a lot of hours. I think that a work-life balance is a good thing. You need that. And I think that is starting to not take a back burner anymore.
There's constant growth. If you start out in manufacturing at a young age, it's a lot easier to advance as you get older, especially if you start out and you figure out all the incentives that come with manufacturing, because they don't want you to just stay in one spot. They want you to grow with the company. And it's not just Airtech, but there's a lot of companies that do that. But with us specifically, there's a lot of incentives that they have for us to go to college and for us to, better ourselves. That way, when it comes time for, if a spot opens up or anything else like that, we can, at least be in the running for it. We're not just a person on the line to them. We're somebody that, they want to grow with them.
So we have employees that work here anywhere from the age of 16 to probably 75 on our shop floor. We have been very engaged with the younger workforce, obviously, because as you reach older demographics, people retire. So we've got to be able to do that succession planning. And manufacturing for young associates is a lot different now than it used to be. It used to kind of have a bad rap for being a dirty, kind of not as very safe. But with automation and a lot of the safety features and things out there, as you see with our company, we're really big into the 5S, keeping things clean, safe. So it's a very nice, clean environment for associates. They learn a lot of additional skills. They're working in teams, so they get that camaraderie, the teamwork there. We also have a tuition program. So even for those young associates who maybe just want to get plugged in and just see what we're about, they can come in, get started. If they want to go to school, we assist them with that, so we can work around their work schedules, again, with this flexible scheduling that we're doing in order for them to go back to school, maybe get a degree if it's welding or nursing or whatever that degree might be. We can kind of help them in that direction. So because we're kind of forward thinkers, we've been looking a lot of out of the box, going part-time, trying to build up some kind of a flexible work schedule. And as we were working through some of those processes, we came across Veryable opportunity and had some conversations about what their platform could provide. And it basically took a lot of that scheduling and reinventing that wheel out of that project for us. We very much like the fact that associates can maybe work here one day and go down the street and work for somebody else the next day, whether it's manufacturing or a different type of industry. But it gives them that flexibility. We can post the ops when we need it. When things slow down, we don't post the ops. So it gives us that core protection of our workforce and just builds around that for the needs that we have. So initially, when we discussed about implementing the Veryable process, kind of our first concern was maybe training. How do we get associates trained, especially safely with working around our manufacturing equipment? So we've kind of structured it into a phased process. So initially we would teach associates some of the simple processes, whether it's just doing some general assembly or maybe just helping in some of the different areas, so that the more skilled processes can be completed by those people who have already been through the training. And then once the Veryable associates come and repeat ops with us, we expand their training. So the more they come in, we provide some additional training so that we can get them into different areas in manufacturing and even running some of our equipment and cells on their own. So that has been very important to us. We do have some operators who are trained to fully run several of our different molding cells. And so that's, like I said, it's just been a super benefit with getting the Veryable people plugged in and how we've handled that training process.
Lastly, let's hear from Mike Kinder, CEO and co-founder of Veryable, to learn about how he fell in love with the manufacturing world and what you can do to get started down a path to a better future.
There's something real about an affinity for manufacturing. I think just about everybody you talk to has a relative, maybe a grandfather, a parent, maybe them. You envision somebody coming back from the plant, exhausted physically, mentally, got the lunch pail, they come home. It's like, I built a bunch of stuff today for your benefit. Yeah, you're kind of a hero. That is still there. I think it's been diminished from our purview in a way. It's not glorified on TV. It's not as common in households, but it's still there. No, I fell in love with it right away. So I was an aerospace engineer coming out of undergrad. First job was with GE in operations, literally doing shop floor, material handling, material presentation, time studies. Fell in love with it. So it's got everything. It's science meets action. I don't put a lot of stock into college anymore. Like, I'm the buyer and I hire a lot of people. Having college on your resume doesn't necessarily tell me much. It actually might tell me some bad things. So if you do come out of university, there's high probability that I'm going to have to carve off a lot of deadwood. The chances are you've been misinformed. At minimum, I'm going to have to train you on how the real world works. And I'm willing to do that. Like I'm willing to accept the burden that the universities have failed on. But by no stretch do I look at university and see a signal of reliability. So I think it's way overpriced. I think it doesn't deliver on the value prop. But the trades are a different thing, or going direct into the workforce is a whole different animal. I think some people are better at learning through their hands. Like take a mechanic. There's no difference of intelligence between a mechanic and somebody who's good at tests. It's one is very tactile and one is more intellectual. But it's intelligence one way or the other. And you could make a great living as a machinist, a welder, and it's an honorable living, a very honorable living. When you're making something robust, like a durable good, you're making something lasting. It's improving the economy. So you can walk by and say, hey, see that transmission and that GM? I built that. And somebody gets to work because of that. Somebody didn't get into a wreck because of the quality of my work. That's how most people define their meaning, is give me work to do and I'll do it well. That's why the work in manufacturing is so rewarding, because you're actually doing it. You're responsible for that thing. It's going to improve somebody's life. And it's more than, and this is critical, it's more than an idea. So the problem with intellectuals, there's no consequence to having bad ideas. There's a real consequence to not making something right. And there's a real impact to making something right. So when you make something and it's real and it goes out into the world, that's a real accomplishment. So when I talk to young folks in this space, it's really simple. It's like, you've got to know the basics. Like, you've got to know how to show up on time. Like, show up on time. That's fully in your control. Have a good attitude. That's fully in your control. Take direction. And when a supervisor comes out and says, do this, listen, follow the direction. That person's doing that for your best interest. Learn how to interpret drawings. Like, learn how to work safely in an industrial environment. So what you have to do is you got to piece it together step by step. So that's pretty much what we advocate for through a free market at Veryable. So if you do good work over here, that's with you forever. You get to keep that. And that's a reflection. That's objective. It came from that company. You did good work, and you did good work on this one skill. That's evidence. And you can take that with you. So that's big. And if you want to get into manufacturing, you've got to treat it that way. You got to treat it brick by brick. You got to go in, you got to do good work. You got to build a skill. You got to demonstrate it. And then you go on to the next thing, and you keep building and building and building. And with Veryable, we track that, and we make it so that it's a lasting asset for them. But it's way different. What I tell investors a lot is, a lot of white collar jobs, you can fake it and you can pretend. When it comes to welding, when it comes to tool making, when it comes to machining, there's no pretending. Within 30 seconds that somebody knows how to weld. So you can't pretend. You got to actually just learn it, know how to do it. So that's what we do at Veryable, is allow that kind of market feedback to follow the worker. In my personal opinion, there's no more noble work than working with your hands and building something. I mean, think about back to 2020, when you had about half the population that was really scared. A lot of people ran to their bunkers, they ran to their homes. Who didn't? People that were building stuff, delivering stuff. They were still there in the shop. It's noble, that's heroic. I think we're about to see a local manufacturing renaissance, finally. But I don't think there's ever been a better time to get involved in manufacturing and really embrace that, because it's a noble thing to do. It's a noble lifestyle. Like, you're better off for it. It's way better than kind of just being a thinker, because your impact is real.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope you gained a better understanding of the modern world of manufacturing and how you can use Veryable to make your way.